What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode here on the Malazan server, and we are still over here on the platform from hell. After about 3 more failed attempts after the last one in the last video, we've resorted back to going to just the magma blocks because one, the frame rate issue on the console, it was dropping like mad using soul sand, especially in the high quantities that we were using it in. And then also the fly machines causing unnecessary lag on the server. So for a server friendly one, we've gone and resorted to magma blocks. Now both of these guys are ready to be dropped in, but I'm going to give you a quick tour of the way it's working. We've got a hopper minecart system set up underneath with auto unloaders at the back end here. Then all the items get fed through to this auto dispensing system, which drops into the water streams, which then get fed through a water item elevator to a auto sorter of our shulker boxes. Now we've color coded all of the shulker boxes rather than using item frames once again to alleviate any stress and frame rate issues, because the amount of particles caused by magma blocks and soul sand are quite strenuous on even high-end PCs when you have it in this sort of quantity. So we've not gone for very high designs, we've gone for relatively low ones, and I think it's only about 6 blocks worth of water coming down. But hopefully these fish in the waterways should start easing up a bit, because we've been getting dolphins and squids and whatnot spawn here before we place the water up in the top levels, and we're just ready to take out the dirt now. So what we are going to do is actually turn the minecarts on, because otherwise the system may get overwhelmed a little bit if it's not actually picking up the items. So let's get up over to here, and apparently we've had drowns and we've got puffer fish everywhere as well. Let's get rid of these guys, otherwise they're going to cause me a load of hassle. And let me give them quick messages saying, let's go. A go time. So yeah, we just need our shovel on hand, and we're just going to break all of this dirt. Oh, if I can actually get my shovel on hand, that is. Without it breaking, hopefully. And then we should just be prepared to get some sort of frame rate drop after all of these particles start, especially while I'm directly over it. So hopefully this all goes well and we don't have any massive spills or leakages anywhere. But while I'm doing this, I'm going to quickly have a chat with you, because obviously this is not going to be our entire day. This area still needs to be cleaned up a lot. Yeah, you just go down there, pufferfish. This area still needs to be cleaned up a lot. That's going to be done probably during this episode, but not as a part of this episode, if that makes sense. As in, I'll probably do it whilst recording other things for this episode. As for what I actually want to do in this episode, I'm not too sure. I think we may take on another little mini project back over our base, because I really don't like spending 2 episodes in the same place doing the exact same thing. And regards to our initial design with the flying machines, I am definitely going to be revisiting that concept and that idea in my single player world, because I really do like the idea of the flying machines knocking all of the fish or the drops off and over. And in a single player world, I don't really have to worry about it affecting anyone else. It's just a single player world, and the only person it's going to affect is me, and any changes or adjustments that I need to make it bearable for me, I can do, and it doesn't really matter how laggy it makes it for me. So yeah, as you can see with the bubble columns at the moment, I can already notice my frame rate drop by at least around about 30 to 40%. But once we move away from the actual visual aspect of it, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But we should start getting a load of drops. We've got a bunch of dirt going into the system now, but that's all just going to get fed through to the end chest. So the one good thing about the shulker storage is that once it gets filled up, we can just swap out the shulker boxes for new empty ones and use the ones that are full for whatever we need to. I do still need to implement an overflow protection system on the very end. If we are planning on going AFK at all, obviously we're going to want some form of an overflow protection. But at the moment, as you can see, because we were getting so many fish in the actual water streams, like the puffer fish down there, Mac actually implemented this odd little mechanic at the end here of the water elevator. So any fish that do make it through to the water elevator will die in the magma block and then get dragged into the hopper minecart. And it also works for the items as well, because they get pulled down by the bubble stream caused by the magma block as it comes over and down. So that's all happy days there. But what we are going to do to sort of alleviate the system just a little bit, with the fish sort of building up, we're just going to start getting rid of these guys. Just so then there's more spawns for the actual platforms that we want them spawning in, rather than our lovely, lovely waterways. Now, if the waterways continue to get sort of logged like this, especially if the ones that we actually want spawning up tops, like, well, like the squids or the dolphins or turtles even, I don't think we're going to be in any risk of turtles spawning. But, yeah. We're probably going to have to put a cover over this thing as well, because this is going nuts. What am I going to do here? You know what, let's just grab some blocks quickly. Yeah, I'm going to blame that one on Mac. He did have it covered a second ago. I'm not too sure why he moved the blocks. You? Nope. You? Nope. You? Nope. Nope. And now you get to see him go for about 4,000. Oh, and I'm stock blocked with dirt. There you go. Blue concrete. That'll work. Okay. Okay, I think he's going back to cover it back up now with the normal stone bricks. Okay, this thing is kicking out loads, but I'm hoping that's purely because of the massive influx of obviously dirt blocks that we've got coming through. So we've not really got to see the real sort of drop rate of anything yet. And the case is that we both need to be in this centre chunk here in order for it to start building up. Because as long as we're within this centre chunk, then stuff can only spawn here. This is another issue that we were going to end up running into, is that we had this happen a couple of times in our testing with it. So yeah, what we may end up having to do is actually take the glass up another 3 layers. That isn't going to be much of a big bother, but we're just going to keep an eye on it to see if that's a continued thing that happens. But as you can see, with the amount of dirt that's come into the system, the one hopper minecart is unable to keep track or keep up with it, which is another little thing that we're probably going to have to look out for. But after that, it's to sort of run through its backlog of dirt and grass blocks that it's got to go through. Like, all of them's going to be filtering down to here, and then we just grab this chest and then throw it back into our deep storage, which isn't an issue. What is he doing? He's just going to go check on that. What we're going to do is we're going to wait for this bunch of items to sort of de-backlog and work its way through, and then once we've got just the fish drops coming in, which we are actually starting to get just now, and as you can see, it is pretty much a steady stream. Like, we'll have the hopper minecarts go up, and then if they've got stuff to unload, they'll sort of dock, unload like that one is just now, and then they'll fill down, fill down? Is that right? Fill down the hopper chain? That doesn't sound right. But we've got ink tanks. Ink tanks? Oh my god, my words, it's so late for me. It's actually 11:30 at night when I'm starting to record this clip. Me and Max been working on this all day, so please forgive me for mixing up my words so much. But we've got ink sacks coming into the system, which is what this entire farm was designed to get. Yes, words difficult today. I'm going to let the backlog sort of work its way through the system, and once we start seeing just a steady supply of fish come in, I'll bring you back for a little cut. Alright then guys, so after a good few teething problems there, what we've ended up having to do is move the water elevator back by a couple of blocks just so that the water is dropping down underneath a half slab onto a magma block, and then we've got magma blocks after, well, just before every intersection, because the blockage with the live fish in the water streams was getting really bad to the point where there was absolutely tons of them in it. Even though they've got all this room to spawn, for some reason they still prioritise spawning in flowing water that's only 1 block deep for some weird reason. But it's only been running for about 10 minutes or so, and we've got nearly a stack of ink sacks, a whole bunch of bones, quite a few stacks of pufferfish, half a ton of tropical fish, because yep, we are in a... Well, the majority of it is in a coral reef, so we're going to get tons of them. This is getting a little bit dangerous. I've been poisoned a few times due to these guys bouncing around. And we've got some salmon because the section over there is actually just deep ocean. And then we have got all of our dirt and random bits and pieces. The puffer fish and the bone block is where I was throwing stuff from off the top when I was fixing the elevator. And Max just doing the rounds because we ended up having to bust a load of the platform trying to fix everything. Water went everywhere, it was chaotic, so it's allowed a few to actually spawn just underneath us, so we've got to go there. And yeah, it could be broke from where we broke the floor. Yeah, so we've got to go under there, just kill off the few that are actually under there just to maximize the efficiency of this farm. But at the moment we've only been running for about 10 to 15 minutes. That amount of drops is pretty decent, and we've got dolphins spawning, which means we're guaranteed to still get squids and whatnot spawn. But that's enough for over here for today and just today. I will bring you back over here later on in the episode if we do make any major cosmetic changes to the place, but for now I think we should definitely move on to something else. Alright, so having a break away from the squid farm, which by the way is about 2 days ago since I've done that last little section of recording, and the squid farm has had a little bit of a makeover done, sort of tidied up the edges, sort of made it a lot more efficient by fixing the elevators and preventing spawns in the waterways, so all of that's taken care of. I will more than likely show you the sort of finished product of that at the end of this episode. But for the time being, I think we're going to take a step away and actually work on something over here at the base. And what I've been doing is this chicken cooker is starting to do my head in. I've been over here for about the last 15-20 minutes and they're dying like every other minute. It is getting quite annoying. So yeah, what I'm doing is actually gradually trying to clear out this area. So I want to get rid of our AFK fisher because quite frankly, at this point in the game, it is not very useful for us. With the villagers being able to trade whatever books you want fairly easily, combined with pillager farms, so you've got as many emeralds as you could possibly want. Getting enchants and that isn't too difficult, and getting suited up and all your OP picks, so getting the rare mending book from an AFK fisher, it is handy to get the bows from, but other than that, it's not all that useful. So what I'm going to do, I've got 100 levels on me at the moment. That is from AFK and repairing all of my tools over at our Guardian farm. And then I was sort of waiting around doing bits and pieces in real life, which is always fun compared to playing on Minecraft. But yeah, so I was AFK there for a bit and I've managed to get 100 levels. I've got an anvil on me, so I'm going to combine a bunch of these fishing rods and bows to actually be able to clear the rest of this area out in order for us to work on a little mini project. There's a couple of little farms I want to put in here. One is a sea pickle farm, and then also I want one for getting the coral fin things. Well, not the fans, but the things that go on the top, just the actual coral, I think they're called. What are they called? I've got a little separate chest down here for them now. Actually, I've added them. This is what I'm on about with that. I've got a few free spots still left in our auto sorter, and that is purely just in this sort of situation. I don't even know what's running through it at the moment, but apparently something is. So they're called, yeah, they're just called coral, the things. So brain coral, tube coral, fire coral, and they're always handy to be able to decorate. So I wouldn't mind getting a little mini farm ready for them up and running, as well as a sea pickle farm, because this, I don't know, I enjoy using the sea pickles. Considering that we're working underwater quite a lot around the area, having these on hand is always going to be handy. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on and get a bunch of these bows and whatnot sort of combined up in an anvil. So we've got some OP bows as sort of spare, and I'll probably sling the OP fishing rods that I make up into the sea shack that I think Max got, that he sells all the kelp and stuff from. So yeah, I'm going to crack on, get this, clear this area out a bit and ready to whack up a couple of little farms. Alright, so I managed to clear out all of that area. I'm down to level 27 because I combined a bunch of the bows and a bunch of the, I want to say fishing rods, yep, fishing rods together, and I've put them aside and I've cleared out all of the storage, got rid of the AFK fisher, and cleared out a fairly decent little bit of room. We've got a hole that goes up to the surface where our AFK fisher was. I'm going to actually have to get round to fixing that up soon enough, but for the time being, we're going to need to create a little work area just out here. So I've brought a whole load of different bits and pieces with me, just for most of it's decorating purposes, because the actual structure of it, that's a bunch of bones from our fish farm, the coral we're going to need, and more decoration blocks. Like I said, with this one and this one, the two elevators going up to the surface over this side, I will probably just be getting rid of them. And what I'm thinking is have our sea pickle farm in here, and depending on how much room it takes up, we could then probably fit either the coral farm to the left, or we can't go to the right because that set of sea lanterns there is actually where our cactus farm comes down. So we've got to be a little bit careful when it comes to room around here, which means if we do build it down here, we'll have to be over this side, or we could build it opposite the actual chicken cooker, because I think that just goes into just straight wall behind there. So we could probably actually fit it opposite there, but I'm not too sure if I want it there. I'm not too sure if I want to keep the chicken cooker here. So yeah, that's all up in the air as to what I want to do with that. Let's get rid of you. We do actually want our redstone bits and pieces on our side. Now there's a couple of little issues that I know I'm going to run into with this, and that is one being the sea pickles have to grow on coral blocks, but then you can't place coral blocks down and keep them alive without water. But the sea pickles themselves have to be in water on top of the coral blocks, and they can only be fed bone meal from the top of them. So you can't set up a dispenser system underneath the ground like you can with the flower farm, but the setup is going to be essentially the same as what we've done with the flower farm, except for we're going to be having an auto collection. And I made power rails. I knew that there was something that I did make before heading over here. So we're going to want some hoppers first of all, because we're going to want our collection area sort of sorted out. So we've got a bunch of blocks here where I've been mining. We're going to want it to be at least, you know what, to get the sort of lay of it first of all, let's get our pistons, and we're going to want 4 either side with a gap of 2 in the middle, because obviously the central point we're not going to be able to bone mill. Not bone mill, I mean that's the point, is getting bone milled so we can't shift it. And then we're going to want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's an even. I hate when things aren't on point. I don't think there's a way of making it even and look right, because the sea pickles is getting bone milled is dead center of the entire thing. So we're just gonna have to live with it being sort of off skew to one side as it is. We could probably decorate it to make it look even afterwards, so I'm not really going to be too worried about that. So the coral blocks are going to be going in between these guys here, which means we're going to need this section underneath here filled with water. Can we just break some of you guys' bits? Thank you. And then we're going to need to fill in this little gap over here. So if that size with water, and then for our collection line, we're going to have to do a little bit of trickery with the powered rails, because otherwise they're going to turn and connect with one another. So if we just do that, and then do that and that. Can I get some proper blocks? Thank you. And then we want to do the same for here. And get some light just to stop any mobs from spawning. And over there. So that should be that all done and fine. And then we can set up a collection point, say underneath there. And then we just have a bunch of hoppers down here, like so. Okay, so I've got a lime green shulker just because it's completely different colour to any of the other shulkers I've got set up in my system at the moment. And then we're going to want these hoppers to feed directly into here. So if we do something like this, and like so, and then just feed it round like so. Okay, all of our hoppers in place. This is actually the third time I'm recording this clip. Every single time I started talking, my dog started barking, so I do apologise if you did hear him in the background, because I'm not too sure how far into the clip I would have cut it, but we've got the hoppers in place, and what we need to do now is actually fill this with water. I need to try to figure out what I want to do with the powered rails, if I want them permanently running, or if I want the ability to be able to switch them on and off. That is the question. I think I'll be fine with them just permanently running. So what I will actually go ahead and do is grab some redstone blocks, and then we can just run these guys. Oh, I did not mean to break you. There we go. Get some redstone blocks on us, just run them straight across here. Okay, so it wasn't a dog barking at time, it was just me having a complete absence of mind when I was placing the rails, so to save you the headache of watching me mess up. I'm just gonna edit that little bit out, because why not? The magic of editing is fantastic. No matter how many times that's the thing, like, see the amount of times I actually mess up my words and I get jumbled up, and then I say, oh come on, words. Well, that happens a lot more often than you think with me, and that's one of the main reasons that I've never attempted to do live streaming, because I manage to mince my words so often that it is just ridiculous, that you wouldn't believe it. And the worst thing is that in real life, when I'm talking to people, that never happens. It's when I'm sort of talking to myself while recording, I tend to get jumbled up. It's like my mouth wants to move a lot quicker than my brain is able to process what it actually wants to say. Yeah, so what I'm doing now, so I can explain it to you, is I forgot to actually lay the water in, so I'm now just putting the rails in the water. That way we can lay the coral blocks on top without worrying of them dying, or dying out, whatever it is called, drying out. Or it is dying, because they're called dead coral when they turn grey, isn't it? But we need some hoppers, and I did bring some iron over with me, so we just need a crafting bench, which we've got in our handy dandy utility chest. How many rails have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's make them all into hopper minecarts. And these guys can just permanently be going back and forward, so there's no issue there. And the reason how comes I'm doing separate rails instead of just the one is because this farm runs so ridiculously quick, and it just one hopper minecart would not be able to keep up with it. There's one good thing about this farm is that it runs ridiculously quickly, but at the same time it's just, after building it and using it for a couple of minutes, it's unlikely that you'll ever have to actually use it again. So they're all running fine. We've got our coral blocks, so hopefully this works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to leave one gap just so that they've got somewhere to push to, like so. And then we're going to need one in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Say, where would our middle? It would be here, wouldn't it? Me sort of miscalculating stuff again. Now the actual radius that they can grow in is 2 off from the center point where they are. So if the sea pickle's here, they could grow 2 in this direction, 2 in that direction, 2 in that, 2 in that. But unfortunately, we're going to be losing out on them spots, and they can only grow 1 in a diagonal. So it'll be there, 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 and there. And regardless of which way it switches, it's still going to be the same. So no worry with that. And then we just need to sort of fill in around it and sort out the redstone. So let's get some colourful blocks. Should we go prismarine with this? Not too sure about that. I've got some blue concrete here. I should have really picked a different colour than the red coral if I'm using blue concrete, but let's just see how we go with this. like so. That looks okay, I guess. And in reality, we only need... I think I've done one rail more than what I actually needed to. So if we say like that, and then like that. Nope, that's just completely off. Is that going to be okay? Yeah, because then it's permanently going to have the points that it can actually grow in. So we don't really have to worry about the rest of that. Oh, that's a shame. I actually done, I think, 2 rails too many. Yeah, 2 rails. We only needed it to be 3 wide. Oh, never mind. We got the others just in case stuff just chooses to fly off the edges. Put a little border around it. Just tidy it up. And do one there. We've got to sort of enclose the top of it as well anyway. And the floor I am going to be bringing up, so that's not going to be a worry. So then we can do this. And do this and make it into a big blue box. Excellent. So now we can fill this with water. You know what? I've made a little bit of a faux pas again. And we can get a block on top of you. That looks about right, because we need to get a dispenser in there as well, facing directly down. So if we just grab a dispenser quickly, pop up here. And then... oh, this is going to be proper awkward, isn't it? Yep. Yeah, okay, think. We can trident our way out, perhaps? Oh, yep, that works. And we can go like so, and like so. That's our dispenser. And what we're going to be doing is having just a standard, not a EFO hopper clock, but we're going to be having the hopper clock that we can turn on and off on this one. So let's get rid of some of these decoration blocks that I've got on me for the time being. I brought a bunch of smooth sandstone just in case I wanted to use it, because it matches the sort of seaside or coral reef theme that we're sort of going for. We are going to want comparator, repeaters, some redstone dust, some observers, more redstone dust than that, so grab these guys. Now, where do we want the clock? We could have it, I think at the back would be probably the better bet for it. That way we can have the observer tower coming up from the back. And then, actually we can have the observers come up from one of the sides, say this side. And let me just stop them in an orange. Let's just crack on and actually build it, shall we? So, need a random block. You into there. And then you into there. And repeaters. Comparators. One there, one there, one there, or one there. And then we can grab some of these guys. Do that. Get rid of you. And I need blue concrete. Where is my blue concrete? Let's get you. Okay. Should have remembered that, considering I was only in that chest about 2 seconds ago. You'd think that I'd actually have the sense to dye it blue or something, but yep, I really didn't. Something that I should have really done. So, if we just run this guy around here, like so, and then this one will come here, and then, I keep on saying and then, it reminds me of that scene from Dude, Where's My Car, when they go to the drive-thru, and it's like, and then, it's like, no and then, no and then. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a level I completely forgot. Started thinking about that film. I've not seen that film for years now, and yet still that one bit, whenever I think of it, cracks me up. Let's throw you onto there before I get so sidetracked. Okay, that seems to be shifting. Is it just my eyes, or does it look like it's shifting up and down rather than back and forth? I think that might just be my eyes. Okay, do that. So we then want to fill this guy in with water. Say 3 perfectly placed blocks there. Should actually do the trick. Beautiful. Get our sea pickle in the middle. And you know what? We could actually throw in a couple of sea lanterns in here as well. Just to sort of brighten it up a bit. Instead of having them 2 blocks there. And we don't really have to worry about water dropping down and washing away the rails because they're submerged already. Do that. And do that. Just so we got a little bit of light there. And then we want to get our observers just reading off any one of these lines here. Will be fine. And we'll do that. Then we definitely are going to want a way of feeding bone meal. Can we get up into this guy? So I think a standard chest should be fine for that, but have I got any? Where is my utilities? There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make a few chests. And I do believe we've got hoppers on us. Yes, we do. So, where should we put the chest for our bone meal? It's so awkward. If this could be placed underneath, I could make this look about 1,000 times better than what it is going to look. But we are, unfortunately, just sort of tied into whatever way. Do you reckon it might be worth my while taking this off to the left, considering we've got this one going off to the right? Just to make it look a little bit better. So then it's sort of evenly matched. Yeah, you know what, I'm okay with that. Because the floor is going to be coming up to here and I want to put some glass over it anyway, it's not going to be too much of a bother hiding all of this stuff. So if we throw these guys onto here, we've got our crazy luminous light green shulker just down there. And this is all ready to go, I do believe. We just need to stock it with some bone meal. And fingers crossed nothing completely breaks and we've not wired it up completely wrong. But I think we should be safe on this one. It's a fairly simple device, but it can actually be quite useful. By the way, I'm living off of cod right now for some reason. I had a bunch of it in my food chest and my ender, and the saturation of it lasts nowhere near as long as any other food type, so I end up having to eat about 10 times more often than I would usually. And then we just want to grab a bunch of bone meal. Oh. Throw this guy into you. And I've constantly done that when it comes to the bone meal as well. Because you could turn it into the white dye for some reason. I don't know why they done that. It's just like an extra step that's unnecessary because you can still dye stuff with just the bone meal. So I think they added it because you've got the flowers now that turn into white dye, and they didn't want you to stop being able to use bones for white dye. The same way for inks. I know they've not added the Wither Rose into the Bedrock edition yet, but I'm assuming it's pretty much going to be for the exact same reason that they've made it able to change the ink sacs into black dye. But if we break this guy, as you can see now they're all going to go flying up and about. But they grow very quickly and they break very quickly, and hopefully our hoppers can keep up with it. Our hopper minecarts. And leaving this thing run for just a few minutes is going to be just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm going to have to put a glass top on this guy. Slow down. Thank you. Calm your roll. And we want to throw Nearly 2 stacks just from like 5 seconds of running it. Bone meal. Let's throw you back in the chest. I'm not too sure how long this video is going to be going on for, but I'm fairly sure we're probably going to be reaching the end of it fairly soon. And I've not had a chance to do any of the decorating or anything. Let me just double check the recording time, guys. Okay, we are very, very nearly like pushing our limit on how long I actually want an episode going on for. But I think rather than me trying to fit the other farm into this episode, I think we're probably going to leave this section here as is, and I'll do the cosmetic changes to that actual unit there in between this and the next episode. But for right now, before ending off, I thought I want to go over and show you the sort of changes of how our fish and squid farm look. But in order, before I go and do that, I actually want to clear my inventory, just because I'm probably going to go AFK over there for a bit, because I do want to build up some ink supply in order to what is the words? In order to carry on building our buildings above ground, because I need the ink in order to get the dark prismarine. It's the whole point that I created that farm. I'm not too sure if I've mentioned that before. I'm fairly sure I have about 10 or 20 times, but yeah, just in case I forgot to mention it. Now you know. Let me throw that. Okay, so I guess I'll catch you over there rather than you watching me do this. Alright then, guys, so to end the episode off, we've headed back over to the squid farm, or fish and squid farm, and as you can see, we've done the best that we can do in ways of trying to decorate the immediate surroundings of where you sort of have to AFK from. And the whole reason that we're limited to, we were thinking about doing the entire platform, covering it with carpet, but once again the bug comes into play where if you place any block that can sort of allow sky access, like carpets or transparent blocks like glass or sea lanterns, if you place any of them directly onto the solid blocks of the platform, they will transfer their transcendent properties, so you'll be granting sky access to the ocean below, which is what would absolutely just completely break the farm. So yeah, we've been very limited on what we can do, so we just raised the glass platform up by a few blocks. We brought the nether portal from over that side into the centre, so when we come over, we just come in straight away. I've sort of bordered off our shulker wall, and the drops that we've been getting, we've maxed out on the tropical fish. Now, I don't really know what you're meant to be able to do with these, because you can't cook them. I know that you can eat them raw, but they do like 0.5 saturation or something stupid like that. I know that they used to instantly heal you when you had them, but that's when they was called clownfish. Other than that, you can trade them with the fishermen villagers on expert level, but yeah, I don't know. And that's our overflow, which is now a chocolate block full of the tropical fish. Awesome. But let's see how many inks actually got. We've got a fairly decent amount, but when we come over here to AFK, we sort of just come over, we hit this lever, it sends all of the mine carts off on their run, so then they go pick up all of the drops, and then you got the auto unloaders, which goes to the auto dispenser, which then leads to the water stream, which you've got a zombie pigment in for some reason or another. Get lost. And then all the drops sort of just come flowing in. It is all happy days. Now, the squid spawns are obviously a lot rarer, especially considering that we're like smack bang in the middle of a coral reef. You could tell from the amount of tropical fish coming through that there is a lot of tropical fish spawns around here. It is mainly tropical fish, otherwise you'd get a lot more cod and salmon. But yeah, I'm quite happy to have this farm actually up and running. I'm quite happy with the way that, well, not completely happy, but I'm okay with the way it looks at the moment. Personally, if we could place whatever blocks wherever we wanted to without it affecting it, then I reckon I'd go full hog and do an entire overhaul on the whole place, but we're very limited on what we can do, especially when it comes to placing stuff near the ground. So I've done the safe route and just lifted the whole platform up, and then when we want to AFK, we come in here, we hit our little button. To be safe, whenever I AFK now, I've died 2 times that I've died and lost all my stuff on the server has been when I've been AFK'd in spots that I thought were safe. And I know that you didn't hear that, but my computer just gave me a virus and scan check update, which was stupidly loud in my ears for some reason. But yeah, whenever I come to AFK, I usually take off all of my gear and we just throw it in the shulker, and then we can just AFK here. So yeah, it's quite handy, and the drops are pretty regular, and it takes around about 4 to 5 minutes after being here, coming through the nether portal, for the spawns to actually pick up to a reasonable amount. I don't know why that is, but I think it may be a case that it's recalculating the mob cap around your position. So it will take a couple of minutes before it does a full check on where you are and scan out to see what's within the the ticking range, and then after calculating that, it will then attempt to spawn whatever it can into the chunks that are loaded around the player. If I explain that even remotely correctly, it's very late for me. So as for today, I know that the episode's been a little bit all over the place, but we got the squid farm finally up and running. Very, very happy about that. I'm going to be AFK over here for a little bit now while I get some other bits and pieces done. And we actually went ahead and got a little sea pickle up and running as well. Sea pickle? Sea pickle farm. Yep, that's right. Sea pickle farm. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys go now. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Bye-bye.